Hi ladies, my name is Nicole Ausler. Some of you might not know me too well because I haven't really done a lot with women's ministries. I've been doing children's Sunday school for 15 plus years, so I was grateful for the opportunity today to kind of introduce myself to some new people. When Evans asked me last month to do this devotional, I instantly said yes. My husband jokes that I actually do like public speaking, but then I quickly realized I didn't know what I was going to talk about. So I kind of let God just speak to me in the past few weeks, and this is what he revealed. 3 little words. Life is hard, and some years are more challenging than others. I remember ushering in the new year with my husband and my mom and dad at our house, and I could not wait to say goodbye to 2019. It had been a very difficult, challenging year. My mom was diagnosed with a chronic illness. My favorite cat died within 2 weeks of cancer. I had 2 different family members living in our home 2 different times for 6 months each. And even though we love both of them dearly, it still, changes the group dynamics in the home. And then I had 7 people that I knew from September to December pass away in 2019, and 2 of those were suicides. So as you can see, I was really looking forward to saying goodbye to a bad year and waiting for a fresh new start, a better year with fewer troubles. I could not wait for 2020. Woo! And then look what happened. COVID-19. It changed all of our lives. I'm now trying to teach my students from home and learn all sorts of new technologies. I was afraid to see my parents for several months for fear of giving them COVID. Church services were canceled vacations. I have another sick cat. Thankfully, he seems to be doing a little better right now. I just felt this constant oppression of this invisible virus that was out there kind of waiting to get me. And then last month, my husband and I, we lost a dear friend to her 1.5 year battle with cancer. So what I realized is that I had been putting my hopes in a better year. 2020 is going to be better than 2019. It hasn't been. So rather than putting my hopes in a better year, I need to be putting my hope in the Lord in the midst of these difficult years. So God's been showing me lately that I need to have peace, hope, and trust during my trials and tribulations. Now, I still need to be cautious and make wise decisions when it comes to COVID, but I can't live in constant fear anymore of catching it or giving it to others. Instead of just holding on and just waiting for that vaccine or waiting for COVID to be finally behind us, I need to have peace in the midst of this whole circumstance. Because guess what, guys? When COVID's over, when this is behind us, there's always going to be something else. We will always have difficulties and trials and tribulations. So I better get better at dealing with it when I'm in the midst of it. So what can I do during these trials and times of suffering? Number 1, trust in God. 3 little simple words, but not always simply done. We all know Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Now that doesn't mean that our lives are going to be easy and trial-free. But I need to remember that everything that happens in my life has first passed through God's hands. So if he's allowed it into my life, he's got a much greater purpose for it, for me, whether I understand that or not. And I also need to remember that if God has brought me through past trials, and he has, he will bring me through these current ones as well. Kind of reminds me of the Israelites. They couldn't wait to get out of the wilderness, but they were grumbling and complaining. They didn't have peace where they were. They weren't grateful for God's provisions. If they had just looked back at what God had done for them in the past with the Exodus out of Egypt and the parting of the Red Sea and the raining down of manna from heaven, they should have had faith and trust that God would see them through their present circumstances. But they forgot what he had done in the past, and they doubted in the present. And we often do the same thing as well. There were consequences for those Israelites for not trusting in God. They were delayed entry into the promised land for 40 years, and some of them never saw it. I don't want God's blessings delayed or denied because of my fear or lack of trust. I recently saw this sign. It really spoke to me. It said, "Let your faith be bigger than your fear." So it reminds me, that there's nothing too big for God to handle. And when I am feeling overwhelmed, I can remember 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. In the Old Testament, God spoke to the Israelites in Isaiah 41:10 when he said, "Fear not, I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." So again, I'm reminded that I need to trust God. What else can I do during trials and times of suffering? Put my hope in God. Not my hope in the vaccine or I hope this is over, but put my hope in God. Romans 3:3-5 is a verse that really spoke to me many years ago during a difficult time in my life. And it says this, "Not only that, but we rejoice in our suffering, knowing that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us." Now, honestly, I don't rejoice when I'm suffering. It's not fun. But I also know that when I'm in those valley experiences in my life, that's where I learn the most and I grow the most. John 16:33, Jesus encourages his disciples when he says, "I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace." I'm not going to have peace in this world. I'm going to have peace in Jesus. "In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." So why do we get so surprised when troubles come? Jesus told us it would be that way. But I can have hope because I know that Jesus already overcame the world. And there's one more thing that I can do during difficult times, and that's look for the blessing in the midst of the trials. Instead of wishing and waiting for COVID to be over or for my mom's sickness to go away or for whatever your trial is, I need to be thankful in that moment for what God is providing for me. So during this time of COVID-19, I'm thankful for time. I've had more time just hanging out with my husband around the house as he's been working from home. I've spent a lot more time popping in and visiting with my parents and sharing meals with them. I'm thankful for technology. It allowed me to keep teaching and reaching my students. It allowed us to keep doing our Bible study, church, even these women's devotionals, Zoom meetings. You might be zoomed out, but it still allowed us to get business done and to see people. My dog's also very thankful because she has gone on a lot more walks these past few months than she ever has her entire life. Remember, these trials, they won't last forever. There are different seasons of our life, like in Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is a season. So in summary, we need to trust God, we need to put our hope in God, and we need to look for the blessings during all seasons of our life, especially the difficult ones. Instead of wanting and wishing for our troubles to quickly vanish and go away and be on the other side of them, we need to be thankful and embrace the opportunity to deepen our faith as we walk with God through our trials. Thanks for listening.